Okay, we've cut our 4-inch piece of zipper, or I mean our pocket. You know, this is this piece right here, okay? And so this is that piece right there. Okay, so if you have directional fabric, make sure puppy dogs are going up. Okay, now we're gonna put our zipper on. I've cut the zipper to length. I've actually added about an inch. I've added about an inch at least because it gives me a little bit more flexibility. So I cut it a little bit longer, but there's very minimal wastage when you're working with your zippers. What I also did was I cut a little wedge out. You can see how I've cut just a little bitty wedge of just the teeth. Okay, just cut a little wedge of the teeth. This gives me a little bit of a handhold to play. And so I'm going to put my zipper in. Your zipper, this is a standard zipper, so this is a locking zipper versus the long one with the nicer pull. That's not a locking zipper. But either one will work perfectly. They just didn't have the big one in this color. So they'll always have the standard, but they didn't have the big one in this color. Otherwise, I may have used the big one. Either will work unless you're working on a pair of pants, and then you better go locking, girl. Pants fall off. Okay, so I'm going to put it on. I'm right-handed. So my wedge is on the right-hand side. Okay, if you're left-handed, you'll probably put it on the left-hand side. So my wedge is on the right-hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the left-hand side. Left-hand side, it always goes in easy. You just kind of put it in slightly at an angle. You know, I'm not putting it in straight dead on because it doesn't like it. I'm putting it in slightly at an angle here, and then it slides right in. Pull it up almost to the top. Okay. Remember, the teardrop is down. Teardrop is down. You cannot put it in. You can try, but you can't put it in like this. You have to put it in with the teardrop down, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put it in. Let me see if I can do this. This thing's misbehaving. So I'm going to put it up almost to the top. Put this one in. This one slides in. Again, the zipper, it's not a straight pull in like this. It's kind of an angle here because these things want to zipper in. So it doesn't go in necessarily straight. It'll give you trouble. You want to pull it in on kind of at an angle. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the channel at an angle. And I'm going to go ahead, and so it's in. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and hold both top with my fingers just to keep it on the top, and then I'll just try with my other finger to make it join. There we go, it joined. Play with it, you know, once you've done about 900 of these things, it's very, very simple to do them, but it's very, very easy. Let's try it again. And so you put it in, you make your little wedge on the top, about 1/4 of an inch, put your left-hand side in almost to the top, you know, as close as you can get. Slide this in at an angle, okay? Then you can kind of put it down like this. And then I use my finger here, and I'll kind of tap the top of it and kind of keep these things going. And let's see if I can get this thing. Yeah, she fell out. And sometimes they will fall out. Let's see if I can get that. Grab them from the top. I'm just trying to grab it. That's what that finger hold gives me. If you don't cut that little wedge out, it's a lot more challenging to put this thing in. It's a lot more painful. Even though, let's say I was off, you know, let's say I, you know, put it in, but I am mismatched up here, and I'm really off. Don't worry about it. That's why I gave you. That's why I told you. Give yourself a good, you know, if you're really new at this, give yourself a full inch on each side, and you can accommodate for badness. Because if you're off here, just open up your zipper and redo your zipper. And you may be off, but you're not off anymore because now it's perfect. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. It doesn't particularly matter what side your pull goes on, right-hand side, left-hand side. It kind of doesn't matter to me how the pull goes on. I think it goes on, this was on the right-hand side and on the inside. This is a longer zipper pull. You know, this is a nice one to put on. This was on the left-hand side. It doesn't seem to matter to me. If it matters to you, then put it in the correct way, but it doesn't seem, that does not bother me. I could put it on the right-hand side. I guess if I were doing it, maybe I'd find that maybe as I look at my $1 billion, I may put that pull where it opens here. So let's play that. Here it is on the left-hand side. So what I'm going to do, and what I really like are these Wonder Clips. These are really nice. The little Wonder Clips. You can buy these on, where else? Amazon. And you can get them all over the place. And I bought a set. Let me show you the top of them. I bought a set on Amazon that I like. It's Evergreen. That was who I got them from. But they give you like 100 baby ones, and then they give you like 25 big ones. And the 25 big ones, these are actually really nice, so I use these all the time. So I use my Wonder Clips all the time. And this was not expensive, so you don't have to spend a fortune, but this was where I got them. Whether or not they're still supplied by Amazon, I don't know. You know, you'll just have to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on my pocket, okay, or this piece of the pocket. And what I'm going to do is, you put it always face down. So this is the right side of my zipper. This is the right side of my fabric. Face down, right sides together, okay. And what I'm going to do is you can use a zipper foot. You may even get away with no zipper foot, because remember, if you take a look, you see a lot of your zipper, and by design, you kind of see your zipper. So if you don't use a zipper foot, I think you can get away with it. If you can alter where the needle is, you can kind of get away with that. So you don't absolutely need a zipper foot. Make sure, though, if you are retentive, you might want to make sure that the thread that's in your bobbin matches your fashion fabric here, okay? Doesn't particularly matter on the inside, because what I'm going to do is, you know, this happens to be white, but I did want this kind of to match. So I think that is white. Orange would have been fine, okay? So I want my pull. I'm going to put my pull on this side just because I can. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust. I'm going to put it in from when I sew it, I'm going to sew it from the opposite side. I'm going to sew it from the wrong side facing. And I just want to see a little skosh. I just want to see just a little 1/8 of an inch of my zipper, okay? And the reason why I want to do that, I'll go ahead and clip it a little bit. And the reason why is because, let's see if I can get that in there. Okay, when I sew, and I'll sew down here because I can feel that's my zipper. And I'm not going to sew real tight because, again, I'm not going to sew tight. I'm going to sew, you know, 1/4 inch or whatever like that, because I do want to see the zipper. You know, this is a fashion issue, so I do want to see the zipper a little bit. And the reason why I have a little bit of my zipper showing is because, let me see if I can, let me put a pin in here so I can show you visually why we're going to do it this way. So I'm going to sew it, but I'm going to have a little bit left over. So let's say I sew it right here, okay? Take this out. So I've sewn it here. When I turn it, you know, it'll be very pretty, right? But then on the back, because I've had my zipper a little bit longer than my fashion fabric, I'm going to come again and sew right here, and I'm going to finish. I won't see any of that fabric hanging out. If you went edge to edge, you'll see this fabric hanging out. It's just a way to conceal your fashion fabric, you know, so your fashion fabric is tucked underneath the zipper. And when I do an edge stitch right here, like I've done here, when I do an edge stitch, I don't see the fashion fabric. All I see is the zipper. The zipper covers that fashion fabric raw edge. Okay, it's just a little retentive thing that you can do. So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and sew it, but I'm going to have just a skosh of my zipper hanging out, and I'm going to leave it like that, and I'll show you when I get back. Okay, so I've sewn this wrong side or right sides together. This is the right side of my fabric. This is the right side of my zipper. Okay, I've sewn it right sides together, and I've got my zipper just coming up just a little bit beyond my raw seam allowance. And I've sewn it about 1/4 of an inch. It's not real tight to the zipper, so that when I open up my zipper, you see my zipper, because I like my zipper and I want to see it. And I sewed it because I used a fair amount of extra zipper. I can pull my pull out of the way, and I can sew it without too much of a problem. Once you've done this a bunch of times, you may very well wish to, you may, you know, go ahead and put your pull on when you're completely done with everything. You know, you don't have to put your pull on and then fiddle and have to fight your pull. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and gently iron this down. This is a really nice row to iron. This is the 8520. Let me see if I can show you what this looks like. That's what that looks like. It's a really great iron. It has a tremendous amount of steam power, so it completes me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and iron this And I've got turquoise in my bobbin thread, so I'm going to go ahead and sew one more line right here. And I use the dark thread. It doesn't really matter. You really don't see it because unless you open up the wallet. If you're retentive, you'd probably want to use white in your top thread and then turquoise in the bottom. But it didn't really matter to me. I'm pretty flexible with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sew one more line here, and then the nice thing about this technique is we finished off that raw seam edge right in here has been finished off because we've sewn it with the zipper covers it. Okay, I finished sewing, so I've done a little bit of top stitching. So if you turn it over, you can see where I've top stitched and I've just finished. So again, this is in a dark turquoise. It is not that critical to me, but you may want to make sure that this thread is in white. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same with your larger piece. This is your 6.5-inch piece. It actually goes like that. And what I'll do is I'll line them up so that I want to make sure that this line here is parallel or flush with this edge here and flush with this edge. I don't want to do it like that because then I mess myself up. I want to bring it from 9 inch, I want to make sure that these are 9 inches. And then I want to make sure too, once again, I want to go ahead and make sure that my zipper is just slightly beyond, I'm seeing my zipper, it is slightly beyond my fashion fabric because then I'll finish, so the zipper needs to be slightly taller than my fashion fabric. So I've gone ahead and done both sides. So this side is done as well, so that's been all tacked down. So they look great. So what ends up happening is, remember, your small side is what the public sees. So how this goes together is it comes together wrong sides together, okay? And then that's how that goes together. And then what you can do is what I do like to do is I like to make sure when I can, I like to make sure that this amount right here is roughly equal. So it looks like it's really kind of a full inch. I don't want it to be short, I don't want it to be long, I want it to be, dead on. So that's pretty good right there. That's looking like a full inch. So I'm going to go ahead and iron that. And if you're the new sewer, and you're really scared with this zipper dance, you can take hand stitches and you can hand tack this down so that your zipper doesn't pull out. You can do that, and that's not too much of a problem. You can hand tack it because there's nothing worse than getting it all pulled together and then your zipper pulls out now and you're going, dang it, I got to put this all together again. What you also can do is you can, if you like, you can top stitch. This, actually this is your inside pocket because I'll show you, we have to do Velcro on your outside pocket. You can top stitch this if you like or not. It doesn't make any difference. So I'm going to go ahead and do my next one and I'll show you how to do the Velcro. Okay, I finished it up. I top stitched this because I thought that might be kind of cute. So I don't think that looks too bad, so I like that. And again, if you feel threatened, you can go ahead and do some thread stitching, make sure and get this inside, and you can thread stitch right here. Just do a couple cross stitches here to keep your zipper pull from falling out. So this one is done. This will be your inside one, because your outside one, I want to have your outside one. Let me go. Here's my outside here. I want the Velcro. Okay, so I'll show you how to do the Velcro next. So what I'm going to do is the same principle. I've got my zipper. I'm going to go ahead and make a wedge on the right hand side. So let's go ahead and do a small wedge. Just a 1/4 inch or so. So that's my small baby wedge. Okay. And I can put my zipper pull on. And see, you can tell here, see I'm off slightly. I'm off like a tooth or two. I've got a bubble. I'm pushing a bubble along, but I'm really not off because once I open it up, then it all right sizes itself and I'm fine. Okay, so now that's perfect. Now what I'm going to do is the same principle, and then I'm going to show you how to do your Velcro before you go final. I did want to remind you too that all these pieces of fabric, okay, this piece, your lining piece, your card slot piece, they're all interfaced with your shape flex, okay? They're all interfaced with this fabric here, okay? So that's why everything, can generally write on the back of it, but everything is interfaced with shape flex. Why? Because quilting cotton is just too thin, and it's not sturdy enough to take a licking and keep on ticking. It's just not sturdy enough. The nice thing about shape flex, though, is you can see where I've seamed it together. I've pieced it together because it adheres really well if you've got the right shape flex. It adheres really well, and you can piece it together. So don't throw your little pieces of shape flex away. You will use these over and over and over again. You will use all your baby pieces, so you never throw it away. I just put it in a nice Ziploc plastic bag, and then I'll go ahead and grab when I need a little baby piece. So everything gets interfaced with shape flex. The only thing that gets something really interesting is your outside lining gets an extra layer of stability, and then that's Pellon 926, and that I'll show you how to cut that. But that's what gives the bag or the wallet its stand-up. What we're going to do, this is the outside wallet. This is the wallet where I wanted it to be able to accommodate a phone. So I've made it just like I made the inside wallet. I didn't top stitch. I made top stitch. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do Velcro. Generally, a 3 to 4 inch piece of Velcro is going to be perfectly fine. And what I ended up buying on Amazon is I went on Amazon and I got, let me see if I can show this to you. I got hook and loop white, 4 inches by 2 yards in length. And you're going, dang, really? But it's sew-in, okay? So it's not adhesive, it's sew-in. So what I've got is I've got these rolls of, here's the hook and here's the loop. And the reason why I got 4 inches is because really all I need to cut off is I just need to cut off a little piece like that. You see what I'm saying? I just cut. So this is actually really economical for me because I want it 4 inches, but I'll just cut a little piece of it off, half inch wide piece of hook and loop. And boy, I can get a billion wallets out of this. So let me go ahead and cut it and I'll show you how to work it. Okay, so I cut just about I don't know, how big is that? That's about 3/4 of an inch wide, so I guess that's fine. And since it's already defaulted at 4 inches, I think that's great too. 3 to 4 inches is going to be fine. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'll put the loop tape. I'm going to put the loop tape on the lining. Well, that's the hook here. But I think I'm going to put the loop tape on the lining because it's slightly easier after I've done a bunch of these things. And I'm going to put the hook tape here. It's backwards here. It isn't critical, but I think it's just slightly easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the hook tape here, okay? And what I tend to want to do is I'm going to put it roughly center. Doesn't need to be perfect, but roughly center on. And again, if you want to get dead center, then what you do is you put it like this, and then I make a very, very tiny baby snip mark. Just baby. Just a little snip mark. See how little that snip mark, that was probably nothing. But when you take a look at it, you can see I've got a wedge, so that works out real well. So what I'm going to do, and if you find that this is curling and difficult, then go ahead and iron these two and they'll smooth out. I'm going to go ahead and put this on roughly center, and I'm going to come down. Oh, I don't know, what is that, 1/8 of an inch? Just a little bit. I'm going to just come down about 1/8 of an inch. Not too far up like that and not too far down, but I'm going to do, once again, the Goldilocks technique, and I'm going to come 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to open this up because I haven't sewn anything yet. I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to use my sewing machine, and I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do 2 runs at this. Why? This is the only time you can play with this. If you don't do enough runs on your Velcro and you're really you're pulling it in, you're pulling it out, and you're putting your phone in all the time, you run the risk of the Velcro coming unhinged, and it's really difficult to fix it after the fact. So you're better off doing several runs here and working several runs on your sewing machine and getting this very tightly down. I'll probably do a turquoise only so you can see what I've done, but if you were doing it real, you'd probably want to go ahead and do a white. Okay, so I finished that up, and here is the hook piece right here. And for now, I'll just go ahead and just gently put my loop piece down, and because I'm going to be putting this on the lining piece. You know, this piece will be sewn to this piece, but I'm not ready yet. So I'm almost done. This piece is almost done. So, so that is your 2 zippered pieces are done. Okay, so now let's play outside lining. Here is your outside lining piece. Your outside lining is, again, it actually kind of is oriented this way, 9 inches wide by 11.5 inches long. Okay, so 9 inches wide here by 11.5 inches wide. I'm also, and I've shape flexed it. So everything, I've already shape flexed it, and you can see here that I've actually pieced my shape flex together because, again, you know, it doesn't go bad and it'll hold really well. So I've done it, I've cut it, and I've shape flexed it. But my outside lining, I want to have more stability. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use my heavy stabilizer. That's the Pelon 926, and I'm going to cut it 1 inch shorter all the way around. So instead of 9 inches by 11.5, I'm going to cut my heavyweight stabilizer 8 by 10.5. Why? Because this is kind of very stable, very heavy, and it adds more bulk than what I want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this narrower, and here it is, narrower all the way around, because it will add bulk and it will add stability, but the edges won't be a real pain to work with my sewing machine. And I'm going to go ahead and use my, I told you to get some stitch witchery because it's helpful just to kind of tack it down. And let me show you what I bought. When I buy stitch witchery, because I use so much, I tend to buy the big rolls, you know, what is this, 2 inches, 2-inch wide rolls, because what I end up doing is I take a piece of it off. I take a big, long piece of it off. I fold it multiple times, you know, kind of like this, kind of like this, kind of like this. And then I've got this multiple fold of shape flex, and then I'll cut it in like 1/2 inch increments. So I can get 4 1/2 inch increments out of a 2-inch roll, and I economize, you know, because I use this stuff all the time. And then I just, I'll go ahead and use it. So that, what shape flex is, or shape flex, what stitch witchery is, it's a dry glue. And so when you come at it with a steamy iron, a hot iron, steamy iron, it fuses the fabric to the fabric. Okay, so I'm going to use it because I want to fuse this Pelon down a little bit. I just want to get it stable. I don't want it to shift around if I can help it. So I've got it here, and I've got it roughly centered. So, and remember, this is my outside lining. This is the outside. This is not the inside. The inside is slightly different, but this is the outside lining, 9 by 11.5. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of tack this down, and nice thing is you can pull it off. I just want to kind of get it down. Don't get it underneath. Don't, okay. This way it just kind of keeps it from floating around. I don't want it floating. Did I get this piece down? Yeah. Okay. A little bit of a wrinkle here. Let's see if I can. You can do a little bit of readjustment here. Don't see it. Gosh darn it. You don't see it because this gets all covered up in the when I start putting pockets on it. Now remember too, I've given you, you know, pockets and stuff like that, but maybe you need more card pockets than what I'm telling you. You don't have to have the pockets that I tell you. I'm just giving you these as an idea. Okay, so this is my outside lining. So what will happen, again, what's helpful too is what I might do is I may make my registration marks on my lining just to tell me where is center. So I've folded that in half. And I'm going to do literally a microscopic snip here. Okay, that's just literally nothing, and that kind of tells me that that's where center is. Kind of helps guide me. Okay, so that's center, and this is cut to order. Even though I have a wrinkle here, I'm not too worried about it because I'll put my cards here, and then you won't even see it. So this is my outside. So if I knew that center, just because I want to be retentive, here's my center marks right here. Okay, my little snip marks. So I'll go ahead and put a put this on here and put this here, and then I can kind of tell, am I about right? I might be. I can even do a little. I want to get this. Edge parallel with this edge. It's not a huge deal, but it's nice to get it roughly equal. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, so I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and wonder clip that. And I'm going to make sure that this is good here. I want to make sure that this piece here is nicely flush with this piece, because I only give myself about 1/4 of an inch sew line, you know, so I don't give myself much sew line. So I need to make sure that I'm not, if I'm up like that, I'm messed up, because then I've really shortened my, so I want to get it so that these are nice and flush with each other. So that's that one. Okay, so that's looking good. Okay, the next piece, let's finish this side up. We can finish this side up. We're going to do what's called just a 3-card pocket. Okay, this is the 3-card pocket. This is for my quick cards, my Costco card, and you know, my quickie cards. So my inside, or this is my 3-card pocket. So let me show you what that looks like. Let me grab it here. Three-card pocket is in your fashion fabric, okay? It is also directional, so if you want it to be directional, it is. It is not, I don't have the origami fold on this one, I just do 3 simple cards right here. So what I've got is I've got 9 inches wide, everything is 9 inches by 7.5 inches long. It's been shape flexed, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put it together, wrong sides together. We'll iron it. Now this one, remember this one we made independently, or massive, you know, 9-card slot. We made all independently. This is not on anything yet. And the reason why is because, let's say this was the inside lining and I put it on, I have a pocket right here, okay? I have a pocket that I can put stuff in. This one I don't have a pocket. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in, and I will sew my lines right now. I lose a pocket, but I get 3 cards out of it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and put this and place it and kind of get an idea if I'm, you know, how am I good looking here? And I'm going to go ahead and do this. Before, let's center. Let's go ahead and center this up. Let's go ahead and do our tick marks. I mean, really, we're talking tiny, baby. I had one girl that took a chunk out of it, like a half-inch chunk, and it was like, way too big. Okay. And then we're going to do, you know, I'm going to make sure, let's move that up. I do want to make sure that this is flush because I don't want to have I don't want to be short. Flush here, you know, that it's raw edge is to raw edge. Okay, so I like this. Once again, I'm going to come at it with my card, my Happy Dappy card here. And I'm going to go ahead and find, here's my center mark right here. Here's center. I'm going to put my card roughly on center. And I'm going to go ahead, so that's center. So I'm going to go ahead and make my initial mark here. Okay, that gives me my base mark. I'm going to finish that up a little bit. These cards, I want reasonably tight in there because this is just floating around in my wallet. If I give too much looseness here, if I give it too loose, then my problem is I run the risk of my card flying out. I don't want that. So these lines, I would prefer to be right at 2 1/4 inches. Don't give yourself that extra, you know, 1/16 of an inch. Because I want these to be pretty tight, actually. Okay. And all I need to do is just see them just for a couple seconds. You know, all I need to do is just see them once, and then I'm good. If you think you need the friction pens, knock yourself out. But I can kind of see that. So 2 1/4. And then I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll come back at you. If you wanted this to be top stitch, you could go ahead and top stitch it before you started to make your lines. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, I've gone ahead and top stitch, or, you know, stitch these things down. So that's pretty good. Those will not fall out. That's pretty good. They'll be in there because too, when this thing gets tightened down a little bit, those things will get even slightly tighter. Okay, so that's the outside. Now we're going to play getting this in, but remember we've got that Velcro that we've got to finish up. So you're done with your, you're done with your pockets, your card pockets. So what I want to do is I want to do that Velcro. Okay. So what I do on the Velcro, let me take this thing out, is I have this thing on top. The hook is on top of the loop, or the loop is on top of the hook. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take so what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently separate these. Put a pin right here to kind of get it down, okay? Kind of get it down. Kind of put a pin there just to get it down. I just need to get it down long enough to get it to the sewing machine. You know what I mean? Okay, let me take this off now. So I like that. Put that here. Just get it down just long enough just to hold on to it. Okay? So that should be dead on. So I'm going to take it to the machine and I'm going to go ahead and do 2 runs around it. Okay? So just get it on just long enough to get it to the sewing machine. So go ahead and hold it, and we'll take it. What I've done is I did this in white because then it's not quite so noticeable when I open it up. But I've tacked down, remember I just said just gently tack that down, align it, and then I ran 2 runs around it, at least 2, and I kind of reinforced the edges a little bit. Because like I said, there's only a few times, if you don't get your Velcro tacked down really well, over the course of time, it's really hard to recover that. So here is your other piece with the Velcro mate. And then this piece goes on top, and you can see how that's looking pretty awesome. I think that's actually going to be a really nice looking thing. What you want to do next is on your sewing machine, go ahead and gently baste down all your raw edges. Make sure and pull your zipper over to here before you baste here, because if you baste right here, you know, you can't get your zipper back. So pull this zipper right like that, and then go ahead and baste baste that down, because I do want to get this thing basted, and the basting is helpful to tell me, you know, where to trim and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Basted everything down, and sometimes I find it very helpful to go ahead and baste it from the wrong side, because then I know that this is my base fabric, you know, this is my lining fabric right here. So I'll baste it from the wrong side, and I've done a fairly big basting stitch. This is helpful because as I start to trim and start to get stuff ready, I know where I really, you know, I'm trying to give myself just a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And so I want everything to kind of line up pretty well. Because if I would have come down here, see, if I would have come down here and trim, you know, sewn right here, I would have missed my lining. So I want to make sure that I get my lining in there, because if I've got my lining, I'm good to go. So that is the outside. Where am I? This is the outside of your wallet. You will also, on the outside of your wallet, let's turn it this way, you will put a button. Okay, we're gonna put that button. We'll size that button. But one thing I didn't do that I'll go ahead and do it now. You know, you've got all this shape flex kind of floating around. So what I'm gonna do, let's cut a piece of shape flex. Let me show you why. I'm gonna cut it here. I'll cut it here. So I've cut a piece of shape flex. I know that my button is going to go roughly center. Probably roughly center of my pocket, right about there. But you go ahead and open this up. You know, I know it's going to go right here. And I'm going to go ahead and reinforce this piece of my, I should have done this. I'm sorry, I should have done this. Let me go ahead and, I'm going to just gently rip this piece of it out. Because what I want to do is I want to reinforce this piece of my fabric, because I'm going to put a button in there, and if I reinforce it, it just makes it a little easier for the button to make sure that it holds well. I'm going to gently rip this out real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and reinforce just this area right in here with 2 just pieces of, you know, indiscriminate size shape flex. I'll probably put it in kind of a cross pattern. Let me go ahead and do that.